What's up, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Chromecast. My name is Joe, joined here today by Robbie.
I knew it.
Yeah,
I knew I'd get it this
Got
time.
him.
I wasn't even really taking a swig.
Yeah.
I'm just
I
playing.
will have Andrew
It's mind
cut the
games.
original intro in to where I'm introduced first, and I'm spilling water all over
That,
myself.
Don't do it.
That
Don't
other
do it,
voice
Andrew.
is Gabriel
Don't do
there.
that.
Tis I.
Truth be told, we started the podcast. We were 6 minutes in, and my microphone cable
just fell
It
out.
just fell out.
completely fell out.
It's weird.
Which we thought that would probably mean it wasn't connected at all,
It-
but it seemed to have held on somehow.
There's
for
like
all
a
that.
little, like obviously where the microphone cable has the little hook, it's got like a little hook indention there.
Yeah.
But it somehow popped itself out.
I feel like there
So-
might have been some sabotage.
So we should
didn't do
have
anything.
a side by side edit from Andy Cam of both intros. You can
Oh,
This one was far more.
Y'all can
succinct
vote on which one
already.
you like better.
first one we were off talking about proof golf already.
Yeah,
we were,
remodeling garages.
we were
and all
remodeling
kinds of stuff.
garages.
But what-
We
We
got
won't do
lost.
that. Let's
we
go
got
straight
lost.
in.
We
What
got
are we talking
lost
about?
quick.
Yeah, what are we talking
so, IO was last week.
Yeah,
before.
what is today?
Last week.
Something-
It
yeah.
was last week.
Yeah.
A week
Feels
ago
like
today.
a long time ago.
It does. Like
I thought it was
Wow.
on Tuesday.
that was on Wednesday. Mhm. Yeah.
Why does that feel like forever ago?
I don't know. That's weird.
'Cause we're busy
I
people.
almost said no. It was 2 weeks ago.
I thought it was. As I was saying it out loud, I thought it was 2 weeks ago. It was
I guess
last
because
week.
IO
Yes, 'cause
happened,
it's
and then we podcasted about it, and we had podcasted about it the week before
Right,
too. So
right.
we've been
Yes,
in that
that's what it
state of
is, that's what
mind,
it is.
and I'm also in that state of mind. Like I don't want to talk about IO.
Yeah,
anymore.
we had debated doing kind of a separate show on just some kind of like state of Google AI versus Bard, all of these things. But then we were like, the first part of last week's episode.
That's kind of
was
where we fleshed
basically
that
where
out.
we
Yeah.
And-
we didn't plan on doing that, but we did essentially have that
and
conversation.
It did. It prompted a post that has done decently well
Yeah.
this week. Just talking about the fact that we went through and pulled transcripts.
Yeah.
Of the
Presentation.
IO
The
presentation,
2 hour
main
and 20
keynote.
minute keynote. Yeah.
And I went as far as to pull the scripts from the last couple. Mm-hmm. Now I will say, to be fair, they only mentioned assistant like 3 times in 2021, but that was the one we came off of COVID. It was at their
Right.
place. It was just a weird IO keynote anyway. And there just wasn't a whole lot of new news around it. Last year they mentioned assistant, I think 30 sometimes or something like that. This year, goose egg.
Nil.
Like we guessed, like
Yeah.
I bet you they didn't. And I felt like they didn't. They 100% didn't. They didn't mention Google Assistant one time. They mentioned AI 97
97
times. And so, I mean, you can make of that what you will. But it seems pretty clear to me that they're moving on in
Yeah.
one way or another. I don't know how that branding will play out. And I don't know what the hurdles are, because there have to be hurdles or else they would have done it already.
Exactly.
Of putting the conversational chatbot into,
Yeah.
like, give it the voice of the Google Assistant. They did great with building voice models to make Google Assistant sound natural. Give it the voice model of Google Assistant. Let me pick the voice that Bard sounds
what the
like.
database comes from.
And then get the data from the ability to gather data and carry conversation from Bard and put them together and have something really unique.
Could be, yeah.
I feel like there are reasons behind the scenes that has not happened yet, because that is a way that Google could now leapfrog OpenAI
Yeah.
really quick. They could just go, okay, well, I see you. It's fun for you to type with ChatGPT. That's fun. But we
now
have
you can just-
natural language models that can say that back to you and then begin listening whenever we go back. I don't know why they haven't done it, or maybe it's on the. I have no idea.
That's what
but-
I don't understand. And we've harped on this. I'm not beating a dead horse, but I don't understand. I understand having to pull back resources because their focus has shifted to Bard, but like Assistant had gotten so bad.
Mm-hmm.
I was just like, okay, well, this is just what the Assistant is until whatever replaces it or whatever. It's getting worse. Yesterday, myself and my son both tried to play some music on one of our minis, and Google said, sorry, you don't have any devices that can play music in your home. We literally have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We have 9 smart speakers / displays in our home.
Oh, and count your phones also.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It can start music on your phone.
Yeah,
too,
absolutely.
So count all those.
And then got here this morning, just hitting some golf balls and said, hey, G, play the album, blah, blah, blah. Of course, you get the 97-second long. It's longer than that. It was like 3 or 4 minutes. And
I haven't heard that album yet. Who's that by?
Bethel.
The blah blah blah.
She finally comes back and says, I can't do that right now. Please try again later. And I'm
Right.
just like,
What can you
oh,
do?
and by the way, it's the album I was listening to on my phone in my car on the way in.
Yeah.
It's not like some elusive thing.
How about this, Google? Can you tell me the things you can do? It seems like it's going to be a short list.
Yeah.
It won't take long.
Well, my daughter asked what time it was the other day, and she said, I can't do that. And I'm
It's
like,
I don't
oh,
know. Like,
Yeah.
oh,
it
no.
reminds me of this episode of Seinfeld. Everything reminds me of Seinfeld.
We
Friends
need to,
or The
we need to
Office.
have Andy pull a cut of
Yes.
all of the Robbie Payne
References
Seinfeld
Seinfeld.
references or Friends.
If you can pull this,
would be great.
Andy Cam, this would be a really fun reference. But there's this episode where George's girlfriend gets mono. You all seen this? He can't have sex, so he gets really smart because Jerry's thought is like, I remember he holds up a head of lettuce and he's like, and pulls off one little piece and he's like, this is the part of your brain that was reserved for critical thinking. The rest of your brain is obsessed with figuring out how to have sex. He's like, but now that you can't do that, you've accessed the rest of your brain. And George gets super smart. Like he's doing all these like scientific experiments and just reading and learning languages and all this kind of stuff. On the flip side, Elaine, I'm trying to remember what the issue, what happens with her. I don't remember. Something happens with her where she's also being withheld. I think she's with Putty at that time, and they break up or something. I don't remember, but they break up. So she's in the same plight as George, but for a woman, it does the opposite. So she gets dumber, and so by the end of the episode, you have George who is just like sophisticated and smart, and Elaine's just like, that don't mean nothing. I don't know nothing. Like they have a scene where she's sitting there watching, like where they'll stack the tires like this, and then they'll just spin the whole thing, and it looks like they're wobbling, and she's just sitting there watching it, going, "Wee, yeah."
Wow.
That's what just came to mind. I forget what the original thing was.
That was a long trek, but you get it. That's
was-
the assistant. That's where she's
That's what
at.
it is.
right?
Yes,
Yeah.
that's what. So I feel like the assistant is like Elaine in that episode of Seinfeld. Like something has happened.
Hey, cancel me if you want, but if I switch my assistant's voice to a male, is it going to fix it?
Maybe
Maybe.
you give it George's voice. Do you have a George Costanza voice? And maybe it's
Please
getting
Hey,
smarter.
now that Matter's rolling out, I might just switch to.
I don't know
Ring or-
I don't know what's being withheld from the Google. Maybe it's just the server. The
Yeah.
server access is being
Yeah,
withheld.
Exactly. Data
She's
is
become dumb.
all that stuff that Bard is learning was what she was getting, and
Yeah, it's
without
just
that
zapping her.
stimulus of
Right.
new data, she's like, I'm done.
It's crazy, and like I think that if Bard were to have some sort of voice model, it would be a game changer. Like that would be so cool.
Yeah, I mean, if I could go to Bard, and maybe that's
It
what's going
will.
to happen when it rolls out because it's coming to Android.
Yeah.
there have already been some leaks of that stuff. So once it arrives, like officially, I would guess probably with Android 14.
Yeah.
Once it's like baked into Android and it's part of it.
Yeah.
But
Could
then
have
it's
a
like,
voice model.
why not? Since you've spent all this time, money, and advertising on Google Assistant, why not roll like Bard is a terrible name.
Yeah.
So why not just roll
The
like
new
let
Google
Bard
Assistant.
be right?
Oh
This
yeah,
is the-
Bard
Call it
won't
the
be
new
the
Google
consumer
Assistant.
name. There's no way.
Like Bard's the experiment of
even like,
large
hey,
language
people
models.
like-
I mean, it's like Esh.
Saying "Hey G" is
Yeah,
a normal
Esh.
thing. for a
No,
lot of people,
no one
so.
at Google references app Esh as Esh. It's app streaming,
Right.
But we've known it as Esh because we've been tracking
Right.
it for what?
Hopefully
2
it
years?
is. Hopefully
Yeah.
it is. I mean, it's still in beta, so hopefully it's a
That's
project.
that like,
project
and that
game.
would be the thing that kind of pushes them over. And again, Google's being super cautious. They've got a lot to lose. They have more on the line than OpenAI did.
They're being responsible.
Yeah,
Yeah. Hopefully.
whatever. They're being cautious.
Yeah.
They're watching their butt, and they need to because the long term of this, like it all blew up real quick. But you've got OpenAI CEO already saying like we've
over.
maxed out large language models on servers. Like we can't do anything else. Like the next breakthrough in AI will be something else. It's not this. So this is really neat, and like the things that will come from ChatGPT, Bard, and any other large language models will be awesome. Like I think we're going to end up with a lot more creativity and like app development. Things will be able to be built that weren't able to be built before because people just didn't have the time to amass. It's not that people weren't smart enough. Like the number of people that build applications is X. That number could be X to the 10th power. People that are smart enough and creative enough to build an app.
Right.
If you remove the element of time.
Right.
Because time is the problem. Most people don't have the time to sit and learn a whole new skill set
Right.
and stop doing like their daily job and providing for their families. And
Right.
so it's like, okay.
But they have an idea.
Oh, they have a great idea, and they have a great mentality around how they would build it and execute it and all that stuff. They just don't have the time to do
Right.
it. Well,
And then
this drastically cuts that.
Yeah, the practical applications are endless. You think about, they're already using this for like medical stuff where they diagnose, and it's not that the AI is smarter than human beings. It's just you're amassing the data of all the medical professionals around the world. But you take
Right.
that even further and you look at practical applications like diagnosing issues with your vehicle or diagnosing issues with a computer. Diagnostics and logistics, I think, is where AI is going to really, really change things, because it's not doing anything that humans don't already do. It's just doing it way faster.
Yeah.
You think we should ask Bard how to fix the post office?
No, just in general, the
Yeah.
idea of the post office.
Now, I don't understand this. So they've been hemorrhaging money forever.
Yeah, it seems like.
They're not officially a government entity, even though they act that way. I got an email the other day that said, hey, blah, 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 we're cutting costs.
Yeah.
They're lowering prices,
Right.
even though they're broke. But I just stopped by the post office this morning to drop off a package, and they are saving some money by not paying anyone to mow or do landscaping.
I saw
It
that
looks
the other
like
day.
the jungle
I saw
over
that
there.
the other day. It's
It's like a
It looks
zombie.
abandoned.
It's like a
Yeah.
zombie movie.
Yeah.
It looks bad. But anywho,
Anyway,
okay.
don't get me started on post office.
So again, we said we weren't going to talk about AI. We talked about AI, but it is.
Yeah.
I mean, it's obviously evolving and changing so quickly that it's worth talking about. But
Yeah, it's a moving target.
yeah,
I feel like for a while.
from IO, one of the announcements was the 7A. You've still have your sim in the 7A.
Yep, it's in my pocket.
So
I'll prove it
what
to
are
everybody.
some early
Not lying.
thoughts?
I'm
on
ready.
the
I'm ready to
Pixel
start
7A, the
pretty.
new mid-range. I'm not going to call it affordable. It's the mid-range phone.
Yeah, it's
from-
mid-range. 500 I think gets it to the point where it's not a quote-unquote
Yeah.
affordable phone when they're like $250 phones. Like the 6A is $250 right now or something.
Yeah, it's
That's
going to be that until
that's
it's gone.
ultra affordable.
Yeah.
I mean, that's crazy.
For a smartphone. Yeah,
yeah.
slab smartphone.
Yeah, so I'll talk about the couple issues I've had with it so far. And some of these could be probably solved with some software, I think. But I don't use my phone that often, especially at work. Like, it largely sits on the desk, and if I need to pick it up to answer a call or my messaging, that's all going through my Chromebook. So
Yep.
I don't pick my phone up a lot during the day. So that usually means my battery life numbers are inflated. So people are like, "Oh, battery life on this thing's whatever." I'm like, my Pixel 7 Pro, I was going home with 70% battery or
Yeah.
something. By the end of the workday. Not this. And so I think there's some other things going on, have to be, that aren't optimized or
You
something.
got that 90 hertz turned on.
Yesterday I was, and I mean, I turned 90 hertz on obviously, but yesterday I was leaving the office. I had 17% battery.
Oof.
Yikes.
At would we leave at 5:45?
Yeah.
Did you do it? You didn't
I
film any
checked.
video with that or anything?
no.
Oh, wow.
So I checked battery usage, and 15% of that battery. So I would have, had I not done this, I guess I would have been at 30%, which is still pretty low for just the end of the workday. 15% was Spotify. I'm casting Spotify, so I wasn't playing it back here. So it's like, well, I guess I can cast from my Chromebook. That's fine. I don't mind doing that.
I'm
But
gonna ask
like
the assistant to do it.
once I've set up the cast, like
It shouldn't be doing
it shouldn't be doing much here anymore, other than like Spotify has. I like the way Spotify does this. If I jump into Spotify on any device, I don't have to like take over the cast to see what's playing and take control of it. Like it's actively understanding that on Spotify servers, this
Yep.
is what's playing from my account, and that's fine. But it shouldn't take up that much battery. So that could be a Spotify thing, whatever. But even without doing that with Spotify, I've not been able to make it all the way to laying my head down at night at
Yeah,
10:30.
that's not good because the battery's not that much smaller than the 7.
Yeah, that's like 4,300, I think,
Yeah,
or 42
48.
and change. So I don't know. I'm not sure what's going on there. But the battery life has not been good. And then what compounds the problem there is Pixels don't charge fast. They have fast charging, but it's
That
nowhere
one doesn't,
near as
yeah.
fast as like Samsungs or OnePluses.
Yeah.
Those are really, really fast. This is
What
more
does
like
OnePlus
iPhone.
call theirs? Warp charging.
Yeah.
Super duper
Crazy.
warp speed. You're getting that like 90 watt crazy charging.
Yeah.
This Pixel phones won't do that. They don't charge ultra slow, but they're definitely not the fastest charging. Google says it's to protect the battery. Fine, whatever. But they just don't charge fast. So when it's running out, like it's not like I can go plug it in and get that real quick juice up. It takes a little bit longer. And then the wireless charging that usually kind of between my drive here and then my drive home, I can get a nice little bump in the Tesla. It does a 15-watt charge. This thing only takes 7.5 watt, and so it doesn't charge very fast. I don't almost get nothing on my drive home, and so just the slow charging now compounds the bad battery life. And so I've seen some other people talk about it, but I hadn't seen that until I went to look for it because I was having that experience. So it's not like I saw that and was like, it is bad,
Right.
you know. And like I was having that experience and went and looked for other users, other reviewers saying that they were having that problem. So that's an issue.
Yeah, that's not good. 'Cause, I mean, obviously there's things in place to mitigate that, but I don't want to have to enable battery saving mode, and I don't want to have to
No.
dumb down the display
Not
to
to
get
get through.
okay battery. Out of the box, it should get, you know.
Do you think
okay.
So the Spotify thing is strange, but in general, I wonder if they're and hopefully they can do this, some software updates or things they can do to help out with maybe some of these things that are draining the battery on that.
Yeah, and again, like I
'Cause you would think it's
spend the
the
next
same-
couple days and get screen on time numbers and
It's
just
the
see.
same chip. You would think it would have done the same thing on your other, because you had Spotify before you switched to the Samsung, didn't you?
Yeah, yeah.
mean,
I
you
never
would-
had problems, but I mean, the Pixel 7 has a Pixel 7 Pro
Has
has
a
a
lot-
5,000 milliamp hour battery. It's a big.
But still,
That's a huge chunk above it. But other than that, though, I mean, I'll say the 6.1 inch for me. This is not the phone size for me. I like the mobility of it. I like how small it is and it's easy to do one-hand actions. But I think I adjusted no, I didn't adjust anything. I left it all. So the font size is pretty small on most sites and stuff. So I feel like most people would probably kick it up a notch because I don't know. It feels like instead of everything being scaled to fit the display well, I feel like everything is just smaller. It's just a lot smaller. And so, normally like on a bigger phone, I'll kick everything down a notch because I want to have more stuff on the screen at one time. This, I'm tempted to kick it up
Almost
a
go
notch,
up, yeah.
but then if I do that, like everything looks ridiculous. Like, I've got good vision, so I don't really want to blow everything up and have my phone look silly. But stuff just does, I don't know. I don't love the scale of this phone, and I feel like something like the Pixel Fold, even though it's going to be a smaller, technically, outer display, I want to say I did the math, and actually it actually has maybe a little bit more square inchage
right.
on the display, but that wider form factor is going to allow for everything to kind of spread back out. But again, if this was the outer screen and I just use this for quick actions, it's when I'm sitting and reading an article or I'm trying to read books on this or whatever, like I just feel it constantly that it's too small. For me, that's not for everybody. Some people don't mind that, but I don't love that. But the cameras have been really good so far.
So I was gonna ask next, yeah.
Taking photos and videos. I noticed I posted a video to our Proof Golf channel, and granted the lighting in there is not great, but Pixels do a pretty good job normally of that stuff, and I felt
It
like
was soft, yeah.
Yeah, big time.
oh really?
Now, granted, the one where I was holding the golf balls in my hand looked better. The other one was the front facer. The front facer, I feel like, is probably pretty weak comparatively. I mean, it's fine.
Yeah.
It does fine. But if you're filming for something else, it's not like short form video. It struggles a little bit, but they're fine. The rear facing camera.
The Fold, being able to do those videos.
I know. Turn
it's
the
gonna be
big
sick.
the big
Yeah.
camera around.
It's
Mhm.
gonna be sick.
But I will say, like, I've been on the Samsung for a couple months, and coming back to a Pixel, I'm back. My eyes are used to it again now. But just the liveliness of the OS. There's one of the reviewers of the Fold said, I don't remember who did, their hands-on. It said it almost feels alive.
Oh, who was that? Because that was the one where they talked about opening up the screen and it scaling up.
Then it was
Mr.
Mr. Who's the Boss.
Yeah.
He's like, and the OS just almost feels alive in
Yeah.
this thing. And I'm like, what that is he reviews and he uses Apple and he uses Samsung and he goes through all these phones. It's probably him coming back to a Pixel and just going,
Wow, yeah.
There's just something about
And
it.
I think
man.
what Marquez said that too. He said using it again is reminds me of what always brings me back to Pixel in the first place.
It's like, and again, I'm used to it now, so I'm fine with it. But look, it's the animations, it's the way things move. It's that certain parts of the OS take their time a little bit more. They feel less corporate and just like, I'll get to the thing. Like Samsung's OS feels very
got
much
a flow to it almost.
Yeah, so it's like this.
Yeah.
It feels alive. Like,
Yeah.
and it's that's been just delightful. Like, I can't say that enough. Like for me, at least, I know some people don't feel this way. I feel like Google does the Android experience better than anyone else, and they should. I mean,
Yeah.
but they've got that part down, and so that's been nice to come back to. But now that I'm kind of getting used to it, I'm starting to see, and this is why you got to spend time with the device before you start passing judgment on it. Because the first couple of days I was like, this thing is great, and part of it was just coming back to a Pixel.
Right.
It wasn't the phone; it was
just the Pixel
Pixels,
experience. Yeah.
yeah, the Pixel OS, and so.
What about build? I mean, you've had a case on it, but have you tried it out of the
But
case?
I have a case on. Yeah, I have, but I think the whole polycarbonate back,
Does
whatever.
it feel? I feel like the 6A always felt light to me. Like it felt very
I feel like
light.
this one's,
It
I think
feels
this one's
hollow.
Yeah.
heftier feeling. Like,
And then like the 7
doesn't-
Pro
it's
just
not-
has this like nice feel, this nice
Yeah.
build to it.
like I don't feel like it feels. It
Oh,
just
yeah.
feels super
Oh,
light.
it
yeah.
feels denser than
Oh, yeah,
more
that's got a-
solid.
that's got a
than,
decent weight.
I mean, it's not like hefty by any
And I will
means,
say, I
but
love the fact that the camera hump is so.
Dude, this
Yeah,
case,
subtle.
this
It's very
case
subtle.
is sweet.
Oh, I know. I'm hoping that the
Hope
Google
they're
cases
same.
for the Fold are the same
Yeah, because
material.
this is the first time they've ever nailed the case.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, my Google case on my 6 is not bad, but that is awesome.
Yep.
Because remember, like the 4s and 5s, they were.
And I'm-
The metal rails, I think, help with some of the.
Yeah,
just
because I
the
think
feel
some of the other ones
if
didn't
you do
have
carry it
metal
out of the
rails.
case.
Maybe
No.
I don't know, but I don't know. I can't.
that
I can't
feels
pick
nice.
up on much difference between it and the 7. 7's a
you-
little bit heavier, but also the camera module in it's way more pronounced.
Yeah.
And so there's some more weight there too. And I don't know. I mean, overall, it's a great phone.
Yeah.
I still would say, for the time being, while the 7 is still around and gettable,
Yep.
and even in the ballpark of the cost of this phone, that's the phone you should
I
go
mean,
get.
because especially through carriers right now, you can get it for $99.
It's a bigger battery.
Yeah.
It's a better screen. This one does have some. You get a little bit of discoloring off angle and a little bit of that blue shift and all that kind of stuff. That's just part of less expensive OLED screens. It's not been off-putting at all for me. It hasn't bothered me at all. But you get a bigger battery in the 7. You get a better screen. You get glass back. You get the full-blown wireless charging, and you do get a better camera array. Like, yes, these cameras have. This has a higher megapixel, so it's 64 versus 50 in the Pixel 7, but that it's better hardware in the 7. That's why the camera hump's so much bigger.
Yeah.
There's just more going on in there, and so I think for the time being, as long as the 7's still being made, and this is a conundrum Google's put themselves in. I don't know what
they're going to have to figure this out down the road. Very
I feel
soon.
like they're going to.
I think once the 7s are gone, the 7s are gone.
Yeah, I think they're just not going to make them
They'll be
anymore.
out of stock. And
But honestly, if you
That's
have
a weird
the,
thing to do as a company.
If you have the extra cash and you really want the best of the family, it's Best Buy. It's $100 more. You can get the 7 Pro right now.
Yeah, I mean-
you just have to activate it when you buy it, but you're going to activate it anyway.
Yeah,
so.
with the 7 and 7 Pro continually being on sale now, it makes it a tougher case to me for this phone.
Right.
And that's just a situation Google has put themselves in.
So you said 7 is $100 at most carriers with an upgrade or with a trade-in or whatever.
Yeah, and even at
So
MSRP,
this one's free then, I would assume. Yeah.
Yeah, so at MSRP, the Pixel 7's always only $100 more than this.
Right.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I don't know why. I mean, $100 is $100. So if you're going in to get a free phone, you got to walk out, and this is free, and you don't have $100 in your pocket. Makes sense, and you're not going to be like super sad about it, especially if they get the battery stuff figured out. I'm not really sure. That's the only thing that makes me go, ugh.
Yeah, 'cause
like
it's
if the cameras
not
aren't quite as
that
good,
much
and blah blah
smaller
blah.
of a battery.
Yeah,
43 versus like 48.
how big is the Pixel 7 battery? Let's see if Google Assistant can
48
can answer me
something,
here.
I think.
Yeah, that's not much different at all. I think this is generally it's 42 and change or something.
So they're almost exactly.
Dang.
So something's up, and it could be maybe the 90 hertz screen. Like this opens up out of the box, you get a 60 hertz screen on it. So
Yeah, if the hardware is not optimized.
yeah, and it's not
But
firing.
still,
that
the
screen.
fact that you're not on your phone much at all, it shouldn't be the screen
Yeah.
sucking the battery, because
That's
you
true.
don't. You're never on your phone.
Let's see. Let's see what my screen on time is. Can we still do that?
3 minutes.
Battery usage.
Maybe.
Did you do Wordle this morning?
Yes.
That would
Got it in 2.
nice.
App usage.
Fallen off the Wordle train. I don't know why. Just
My daughter's gotten into it now.
There we
for a
go.
while, it was every day.
Yeah, my screen time for today is 21 minutes. I told y'all I don't use my phone.
Yeah. Especially when you have a watch and then you get to the office and everything's on your Chromebook. It's
Yeah,
like,
I mean, and he's at
you
80,
need
what,
your-
87% battery?
So this could be some of my charging issues. I had adaptive charging turned on, extends lifespan, so it charges based on your usage cycle and charges less.
Yeah.
Like I get if I'm buying a phone, I plan like the Pixel Fold. I'll probably turn that on,
Right.
because
You want to maintain that battery life and
I mean, yeah, I'm me, so
Yeah.
who knows? But I plan on
'cause
having that phone
that's the
around
stuff
for a
where,
while.
like at night it'll say
charge
I'm going to have
slower.
this ready at
Right.
7:30 or
But there
8
could
when
be
you
times
normally
during the day when I'm plugging it in and it's still doing the adaptive charging thing because it
Sure.
thinks whatever. I don't know what
Yeah.
it's come up with my usage pattern. So I'm gonna turn that off and for the next couple
what-
days and see
what
if,
it does.
see if my
Yeah, so
charging
like
gets better.
no like these are still early impressions. Like you're still figuring
Yeah.
this phone out.
Yeah, I'm trying to decide, and it's a weird phone. I don't even review phones normally, so it's a weird phone to even think about writing a review about. I might end up doing some sort
I
of
think let's just do like my thoughts on the
right. So my impressions or what I think about this, because the price point makes it weird. It just makes it weird. If it was $400 and the 7 is $600, it's like there's a $200 gap. It's much easier to go, well, you're downgrading this, no big, but it's $200 cheaper.
Yeah.
$100, and then with the 7 just constantly falling on sale, it's like
right. We should
And maybe
weird.
that's the
I
play.
don't know.
Well, if they keep the 3 phones, which again I don't think they will in their current form, but if they keep them, maybe this stays $499 and they bump both the bigger phones up.
they're more expensive.
You've got a
next time around.
500, 700, 1100,
or
which
something.
I don't think they should do that, but
No, but if they need to bump it up a little bit to do some
Condone it,
things to
yeah.
really get like the 7 Pro needs to be on the level of the Galaxy S23 Ultra. It needs to. I'm not saying it has to have a pen, but like from build quality to like materials to all that stuff, they need to start supporting their phones better. Like if you buy the Pixel 7 Pro, you should have like what they're doing with the Pixel Fold, like 24/7
dedicated
support.
Yeah.
There's an option to do whatever coverage on it, and you can walk in a place and get some help, and like they need to do all that stuff for their high-end phones if they want to compete with Apple and Samsung, and that's who they're competing with. That's
Yeah.
it. Nobody else. They're not competing with anybody else. They're competing with those two, and both of those two have options for these types of things. So they got to get that part figured out, and I don't think they have to do that for phones like this.
No.
So figure out how you can cut costs as much as you can for these, and then roll out better stuff for the
Yeah,
big guys.
provide a more premium experience.
Yeah, a
for
little more white glove.
Yeah. For those higher end phones.
Yeah.
So yeah, stay tuned. Obviously, as Robbie spends a little bit more time on this, we'll put together some thoughts. I think we could do basically what we did with the 7 and 7 Pro. Didn't we do like this is not a it's like not a review basically is what we ended up calling it. Like
Yeah, and I kind of did the same thing with the Pixel Watch.
yeah.
Like you all
Hey,
keep
we
asking
don't
me
do
to
this. We
review
don't
it.
review these things. You're not
Like-
a phone reviewer. I'm not going
Right.
to sit here and like tear down every little piece, but have some thoughts.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that'll be fun. So stay tuned for that. But for right now, we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back. Alrighty. Welcome back, everyone. So let's kind of stay on the hardware train. Let's talk about the Lenovo Flex 3i.
So yeah, as this goes out, the review of that device should go out, and I wrote up a pre-review of that device because I was so excited about it.
Robbie's so excited about this little Chromebook. He wrote a pre-review.
I know, and that's
It
funny.
gets double review treatment.
Lenovo does that. They'll drop something at CES and they're kind of like, oh, okay, cool. And then later it's like,
What?
this is a very intriguing device.
This is good. This is way better now.
Because the Flex was like that.
Yeah,
the
the
Flex
original
5i
Flex.
was like that. Or 5, whatever it was.
So it's the IdeaPad Chromebook Flex 3i. Terrible names. I get that they bought whatever IBM's thing, the IdeaPad and the ThinkPad and stuff, but you don't have to throw it in everything. It's not the best branding, but especially with Chromebooks, 'cause you got to put Chromebook in the brand name too. I just call it the Flex 3i, but there's
Be
other
the
Flex
Lenovo
3i's.
IPCB Flex.
There
That's
you
what it
go.
says on the spec sheets. It's always like IPCB, but like,
What are you talking
just
about?
call it whatever.
Yeah, so it's a 12.2-inch screen, 16 by 10, full HD, IPS, 300 nits. So for a
From
300,
that alone, right?
You're already better than some of the premium devices out there.
so for a
HP.
$350 device, granted, and I like the fact that we reviewed and I got to use the one that's available
can
at Best
buy,
Buy,
yep.
not the one. They're supposed to have a one with 8 gigs of RAM and 128 gigs of storage. This one's 464. So we're talking real basics here.
SD slot.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you can expand your storage with
forgive you,
micro SD. Yeah, the storage isn't as much of a problem. The RAM is something I would like to see updated. But using it at the desk, using it at the house, it's ultra portable. It's all plastic, but it's nice and firm. We said this in the review. Like
We've got
other
shots of it. holding
other
from the
manufacturers need to take note of this. You can make an all plastic Chromebook that doesn't
Right.
feel like it's going to fold
Absolutely.
itself in half in the places it's not supposed to. But yeah, that 300 nit screen is kind of the standout thing. So it's a little taller than normal. 16 by 10 gives you a little more workspace, and in a convertible, it just works. Like it works really well. I wouldn't want to use this as a tablet like all the time, but it gets by just fine. And most of that comes from the N100 processor. So back up for a second, Alder Lake is 12th gen Intel. At some point in the mix, we started seeing references to Alder Lake N. We weren't sure what that was. Well, then eventually Intel came out and said, hey, we're making the N line of chips. It's just their new small core chips. So we've talked before, Gemini Lake,
Jasper.
what other lakes? Yeah, Jasper
Gemini
Lake.
Lake R, Jasper Lake.
Yeah, so those are all the small cores. So they don't get all the big cores like most of the bigger chips are large and small cores mixed. This gets only the smaller cores, the more power efficient ones. Those devices over the years have, struggled with. I mean, gosh, you go back to what was the one before Jasper and Gemini? It starts with an A. No, shoot. It was the 35.
Ask Chat.
3050.
Ask Bard.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Apollo Lake.
Apollo Lake. There you go. Yeah.
I mean, no AI.
I don't need no dang
They
Bard.
were bad. All of them were bad.
Yeah.
They all struggled all the time. And then we moved to, is it Jasper first and Gemini?
No, Gemini was first.
Gemini Lake were the first small cores that were like, they're getting somewhere. These
Yeah.
aren't
Then
terrible.
They quickly did the refresh, and it was like, okay, the refresh is not bad. The Gemini Lake R were the first chips where it was like, I wouldn't feel bad for a student
Right.
working on one of these.
And that's years into this.
Yeah.
And then, Jasper Lake, I feel like was the first one that was like, okay, this is usable. It's not my favorite. And we didn't get as many consumer Chromebooks with Jasper Lake
Yeah.
chips, but they weren't that bad. This is a whole different ballgame. The Alder Lake N chips, so they cleaned it up. You have N100, N200. That's it. I think the N200 is just higher clock speed is all it is.
Yeah, because they're both quad core. So.
Yeah. The N100 chip, even with 4 gigs of RAM, is very good for this kind of price point. It's not something where I'm just like, oh my God,
Yeah.
I got to use this to review it. I'll get through it. Like taking this thing home and using it.
It finally started to stutter when you had, I think, like 8 YouTube videos.
8 YouTube videos running
Right, but I mean,
simultaneously.
There's
with,
8th gen Core i3 devices that would struggle with
Right.
8 YouTube videos. That's
and I think
insane.
part of the problem probably came down to RAM.
Yeah.
So
If it had more
I only
RAM,
have
it
4
probably
gigs of
would've been
RAM, and I was peaked out on the RAM. So getting an N200 with 8 gigs of RAM, I really am interested to see, because I mean I was pulling 46,000 on Octane,
which is
Right.
insane. I remember
small core
when
chip.
we first got into this, and I remember getting my first Core Chromebook, the one I bought from a guy we know at Google. He had sold me a used HP that had an i3. No, Acer. It was the Acer 15 with the i3 in it.
Yeah, yep.
Bannon, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And thinking, I got like 28 or something. I'm like,
Yeah.
man, this
Yeah.
thing's a monster. Like.
And so I
And
mean,
then HP has a 15.6 inch device with the N series chip, but it has 8 gigs of RAM.
yeah,
And I'm sure that thing
need
will
to
be
get that one
more than the screen's garbage is the only bad
Yeah.
thing about it, but whatever.
HP and their screens. But yeah, like so these mobile chips now from Intel are so intriguing, and I'm clocking 8 to 10 hours of battery life with it. It's where it says whatever, but and that's a small battery cell and a small lightweight device that's easy to move around. It just hits so many points, and there are some pitfalls. The webcam was terrible. 720p, super grainy, super blown out, like pad dynamic range. It's bad.
Does it have the smiley keys?
No.
Oh,
And so the keyboard is pretty weak for a Lenovo. Lenovo manages a lot of times to get a better keyboard than most at the price point. This is not one of those. This thing is cheap feeling. Not something I would want to type on for long periods of time. It's a keyboard; it'll get you by.
Yeah.
But I miss more strokes on it, and we kind of got some close-up shots. Like you can,
It's just wobbly.
yeah, you can see like the keys aren't like if I push the edges of the keys, they just really wobble, and then the click isn't completely reassuring. So your fingers just
Doesn't have
don't know
that,
for sure.
snap to it. Like
Yeah.
I was kind of playing
Probably
around with
not
it. It doesn't
good
have
for-
like that good click
Yeah,
to it.
for in elementary typers, probably not good.
Yeah, I mean it's just, but it'll get you by. The trackpad's plastic, but it was fine. It's seated really nice. Got a good click. It stayed pretty smooth. So no real bad stuff there.
It's Mylar.
Mylar.
Is it really?
Most of
them are
Yeah.
Mylar, yeah. Which is what balloons are made out of.
Good to know.
Mylar balloons.
Mylar balloons, not rubber
Latex
balloons.
Yeah,
Can we start a whole new podcast of just random facts by Gabe?
Yeah, absolutely.
Facts.
Gabe's facts.
Facts of life by Gabe.
Facts of life. By Gabe.
Love that show.
That would be fun.
Let's see. Port selection's awesome. For a small, affordable Chromebook, you get a full-size HDMI on the side, 2 USB A's and a C, micro SD card, headphone microphone. So I mean,
Is it 2 A's and a C or 2
Yeah.
C's and an A?
2 A's and a C.
That's weird.
Yeah, I thought that was a little strange, but
But if they're using them for like schools and stuff,
Yeah,
most
having that
schools
extra-
have older hardware
Yep.
like
Yeah.
peripherals and stuff.
yeah, I mean, it's nice that I can put it under my monitor and not have to use a dock, and
Right.
for an affordable Chromebook.
Have your dongle plugged in there if you want to, and then still
Yeah.
have another A.
Yep. So I mean, overall, like when you look at all of the stuff and go, okay, and it doesn't have USI pen support.
Right. Which I think is strange. I think
For
that's a
this
weird
form factor,
omission.
it's very portable. I think it would do very good with pen input, mostly because
we're excited to test one. With
Yeah.
That
We've-
is strange
that
though,
chip.
because it's not like it's a cheap screen. I mean,
no, but that's another layer you got to put in there. You got to put that digitizer in there. So, I mean, I was so just convinced. I didn't read it on a spec sheet or anything. I just knew that we had it. We were doing a USI pen thing, and I was like, oh, well, use this new Chromebook I've been starting to use, and we start rolling, and I'm like, this doesn't
Nope.
support. I was like, maybe the pen's dead, and picked up
We
another
tried a
Chromebook.
different
Nope,
pen.
works fine. So that's
It's what it is.
a weird omission.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's available at Best Buy right now, $349.
$349.
Gosh,
And
that's
imagine it going on
That's
sale.
It's a lot of
Oh
good
yeah,
Chromebooks.
yeah.
for
It'll be
$350.
$100 off before the HP ones that just came out. The i3 is $100 off. The N100 or N200, whichever one it is, it was $100 off like the week it came out.
Yeah, and so I mean, I just the interesting part of all of this
Oh,
is
Kenny Rambo's here.
I
If
know.
anybody can hear.
I hear Kenny.
but the interesting part with this is like to me that this price range always ended up being something that you'd look for the Duet 3 or the Duet 5 on sale.
Sure.
Because it has a good screen, so we know you're going to get a good screen experience. And the keyboard and trackpad or whatever, but it's a tablet and it's a nicer device, and it's like, okay, this doesn't feel like I'm buying a really cheap device. Now in this price range, I'm like, if you really want a Chromebook, if you need a tablet like 5% of the time or whatever, and really what you're after is a clamshell Chromebook, this is going to be the go-to suggestion until there should be a whole slew of these devices,
Right.
these types of devices coming, because we have, I want to say 12 or 14 of these we're tracking, and they're
Now, if you don't want a tablet, the HP, the 15.6 inch HP, the i3 version does have a good screen, which I don't know why they did that. The N100 version has a 1366 by 768 15.6 inch. Those are hard to look at. I don't care who you are. But the
Probably
other
a
one's
TN
Let's
panel.
stretch out
the
a
other one's full
crappy
HD.
screen for-
It has a numeric keypad, and it's $100. I think it's $399 right now.
That's
which
not bad.
for that, it's going to be that i3's
Yeah.
beefy.
Yeah.
I hope that other manufacturers will follow suit on this one and
Yeah,
create these like lower end, more affordable devices.
Yeah, because like Acer
under
will
$400
make
that are this well made.
yeah,
Yeah.
Acer will make a handful of them for EDU, but we usually don't see a consumer model,
Yep.
which doesn't
Right.
make any sense to me.
They need to start making consumer models. Like I think there's space for this part of the consumer segment
Yeah,
to
we
really
see it.
grow.
Like we see it with article performance.
People want them. Like people want them because there's so many people that either haven't tried a Chromebook or have tried a Chromebook and are just caught in that thought of I can't bring myself to pay extra for this because I can't run whatever the app is that
Right.
they're looking for.
I
I
want
can't
something
run this
under
app.
under $500.
And so yeah, if they get something under $400 and they can go get it and they can use it and they enjoy it, they're more apt to go buy that. Right now, it's just where we are in the consumer space with Chromebooks. There are other things that are stretching that mentality a little bit, but you still need, for consumers, you need good experiences on the low end so that people get their foot in the door, realize I can do everything on this. I haven't touched my Windows computer in 6 months. Well, now I'll go invest in a $700 or $800 Chromebook. Yeah. But they're not going to do that without knowing.
We're still in that adoption phase, which is crazy to think because ChromeOS has matured
12
so
years,
much. Yeah,
But
and like we have so many great devices, but still.
You've got all these enterprise people that are getting these nicer Chromebooks because their boss is giving it to them, and that's what they take. And you've got EDU getting these lower end Chromebooks because that's what their teacher hands them. You know, the consumer space is full of choice, and so they haven't really attacked that. And I feel like they've gone about it a little bit backwards. Like I'm glad the HP Chromebook Pro exists, or HP Dragonfly Pro Chromebook exists. But I don't think that's the way you attack the segment. You need to convince people that have a choice to go buy whatever they want,
Right.
that this is a viable option for you.
Yep.
And then introduce stuff like this. And so the Dragonfly Pro can, I think, be viable for the next 2 years. Like it's got enough
we need
goodness
an
to it.
armada of $600 flagship Chromebooks. We need all the companies making multiple versions of the Spin 714 X360 where there's options in that $500 to $700 range.
They need to stop screwing up the basic parts.
Yeah.
Stop screwing up the screen and the keyboard and the trackpad.
The three things you interact with and look at
And
on
then
a device.
closely
Get
after that,
those
make
right. Just
sure
do that part right.
the chassis is firm.
I mean, I think about that Samsung that I saw my buddy got around Christmas. It's a Windows laptop. He paid $500. I think it was like deeply discounted, but it's not a monster performance-wise. I think it's a Core i3 or whatever, but the build quality is impeccable. I'd put it up against any MacBook. I mean, it felt like you were holding a MacBook Air.
Yeah.
That's what they need to build.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be a beast.
And you can. Like, cut corners on, you don't have to have the best RAM or even the most expensive NVMe storage. Throw an i3, 8 gigs of RAM, 128 gigs of storage, and then focus on a good screen.
Fit and finish.
Stop this 250-nit screen garbage.
Yeah.
Make sure you put your better keyframes on it and put a glass trackpad on it. And then if you're going to build it out of plastic, put a little bit of metal framing on the inside to make it feel firm. And you'll be able to sell these devices much easier to the general public. And you'll give them confidence that they should buy your brand.
Right.
It's very simple. Like, I don't understand. It gets done better than this in the Windows department. It's like, why aren't you using the same thought process to build your Chromebooks? Why is HP building a $700 Chromebook in 2023
that is a $200
that I feel like I can bend the bottom half in half? Why are you doing that? And it has a 250-nit screen.
Yeah.
Why are you doing this? And it's a 16 by 10 screen. So I feel like they went out of their way to find a 250-nit 16 by 10 screen.
Yeah.
I mean, it's beyond ridiculous. It doesn't make any sense to me, especially from a company that built the Dragonfly Pro.
Right.
So you
Such a
have
great
people,
refined device.
right? You have people in your organization that know how to build great hardware. Give them a call.
Like, were you afraid it was going to detract from the Dragonfly? Like, come on.
I feel like
now.
it's just two very different teams building those.
Google
those
should
devices.
Google should set a new rule. If it's over $500, it has to be 300 nits. Period.
Yeah, I mean, there's no excuse for this at this point. So,
Or they just shouldn't sign off on it. Like they should be like, hey, look,
because
The
it's
screen
probably
is too
software nerfed. It's probably not that the screen's not capable. It's probably just
it could be.
So do you all think that these kind of slight change of subject here, but Do you think that these new Alder Lake chips are a response to ARM performance getting better, and this
Yes.
is Intel
Oh, yeah.
trying to like?
Yeah, because
Intel's been chasing that.
Yeah,
for a while.
they started doing the stacking there for a while, where they did the chip stacking and all that stuff, and then they finally, once the processes got smaller, they finally figured out how to do all performance based cores, not the efficiency based cores without the performance ones, and still be powerful enough to be competitive. Then, yeah, I think they were trying one route. When they figured out that wasn't working. The way things are now with the N series, they realized this is a way that we can compete with ARM. And who knows, as the processes get smaller, they may. I'm surprised that Intel hasn't gone the way of Apple though, with the M series chips, where everything's just integrated into one.
Yeah, and maybe they want to, but you got to get manufacturers to buy into that.
Oh, yeah.
For Intel, they can't just, Apple can do that because
It's all integrated.
they're doing both sides.
They're going to
of
buy
it.
their stuff regardless. Yeah.
I think, I was thinking this with the messing with the Lenovo. I'm shocked that we don't see at least one tablet with the N series processors in them. They're efficient enough; they can be fit into a small space. Why not have a
Tony
tablet?
fans.
Be a great tablet.
Yeah.
And I know we were going to talk about some of this other stuff, but Android 11 is now rolling out for ARM powered Chromebooks. And I felt like one of the legs up that Android on Intel powered chips was getting ArcVM and Android 11 and all that stuff, and that was kind of a thing that they had over them. That's gone now too. So I feel like ARM powered Chromebooks, especially if Android 13 gets rolled out, which I think all this is happening to move everything towards ChromeOS getting Android 13 finally, and kind of getting back on schedule. Like I think everybody's getting onto a level playing field with Android 11 and ArcVM, and then we can update everybody. Once that happens, with Android 13's updates to mobile productivity stuff, so large screen Android apps, utilizing all the space, split screening, all that kind of stuff that gets built into Android 13. It's on Chromebooks, it's the framework. It's not Android 13. It's Android 13 framework is built in, but that's going to give these apps a better ability, I think, in ChromeOS to operate the way they need to as people build apps for the Pixel tablet, people build apps for the Pixel Fold. All these things are going to make Android apps better. The minute that Android apps get really great on Chromebooks, guess what? ARM is going to have a distinct advantage. They just are, because Android apps are built first for ARM. Like no one's sitting down in a meeting room and going, okay guys, how are we going to build our new app to make sure it runs really well on x86 Intel based stuff? Not one person is doing this. And so if that's the case, everything's getting built and geared towards ARM. Well, it's going to make ARM Chromebooks even that much more desirable in the future. And so Intel has to have a way to kind of combat that. And I think having some thinner, lighter form factors, maybe some tablets and detachables, or I don't know, with these N series chips could be a way around that. I just don't know if it's going to happen or not.
Yeah.
Do you all know price difference for like the Intel N series versus a MediaTek X chip
No
that's
idea.
comparable?
No idea.
It's like
I would
wonder-
imagine ARM's always cheap. Well, maybe not
I
Snapdragon.
don't know. Yeah,
Snapdragon's
Snapdragon,
gotten
no.
expensive.
MediaTek
I'm-
probably.
I'm just
MediaTek's
wondering
probably
if maybe this Intel chip, this N100 that's in this Lenovo, is a little cheaper and did allow them to spend a little bit more money on the screen or whatever on the build. I just think it's an interesting place in the market, and it's cool that ARM is pushing the market forward in this way and kind of forcing Intel to catch up and to create a new type of chip that's competing. This Lenovo is out. It's available. We'll have this review hopefully posted by the time you're listening or watching this. So go check that out. If this is a device for you, maybe go snag one and let us know what you think.
I've just thoroughly enjoyed it. I really have. And I'm hoping more come in its wake. I hope there are more affordable, fun to use devices. That, again, like at this price point, you can just kind of forgive little misgivings, especially when the screen is decent and the keyboard isn't awful, and the trackpad's not falling off.
Right.
And, like all those little things come together to make just a really good experience. It's been a great. Just I'm going to grab this and take it home for the evening, and use it for different stuff. It's great, just using around on the couch and all that kind of, like, it's just a good little Chromebook.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I hope we get lots more.
Yeah.
I think Acer, HP, they can all build.
Are you all seeing things in the repositories of lots more of these?
At least
type
12 or
of devices?
14.
Yeah, there's a lot.
I thought I'd remembered you saying there's a
Yeah,
slew.
there's
Which a lot of those will be EDU, but
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
hopefully,
Which hey, that's good too.
Yeah,
I'd love to see
yeah, I
hope
EDU
to
devices with this chip. And
Yes, finally to the point where, like, I was using, my daughter had that crappy HP, the one I really bagged on hard.
the one we threw
it's
off
the
the
HP
roof.
11, whatever.
No,
No.
the one that came before. It was that Chromebook, but it's with a processor. I think the
Oh, not
Apollo
the
like
MediaTek inside. Yeah.
process. It's like so slow. And I'm like, and the screen's terrible. And when you start compounding those types of things, the keyboard's not that bad and the trackpad's fine, but those things can't make up for a bad screen and a slow processor. Like, those are the two first things you got to get right.
Yeah, for sure.
And so all of a sudden, those kids won't have to deal with that anymore,
Right.
which will be really great down
Yeah,
the
because
road.
that's like my son. He always says he wants an iPad, and it's not because he knows anything about iPads. It's because they have a few at school,
Mm-hmm.
and it compared to his Chromebook that he uses on.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure
Because
it's-
even though his Chromebook at home, it's an EDU model. It's rugged, but the screen's washed out. It's bad, and like he wants something that he likes looking
Yeah.
at. So
Right.
this Lenovo is very intriguing to me. Because I'm like,
Yeah.
if you can not break this, this is a great Chromebook
Yeah.
for you.
And maybe it'll
Yeah.
even go on sale. Get that thing for under
Oh
$200.
yeah, oh yeah.
you
I
imagine
bet it'd
$299
be
even just-
$250 at Black Friday.
Oh.
Yeah, you made it a $249 for that.
$249 for that
All day.
device.
All day.
I mean,
Sell that thing like
$349.
Still sold.
I think
Yeah.
it's fantastic for
Right.
$349. But yeah, I'm looking forward to some other ones kind of in the
Yeah.
market. But yeah,
So
good device.
for our last couple minutes that we have here, we got to talk about one thing where kind of our worlds collide here, because
Yeah.
we have a new project that we've been working on called Proof Golf, proofgolf.com.
Well,
Hopefully
soon.
soon. Sorry, proof.
We had to,
dot golf.
we had to work on getting .com.
we're
Somebody
hopefully-
just it's like real estate with URLs.
Yeah.
People buy URLs and just hold them.
Right, which is fine, like whatever. But yeah, hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll,
Yeah.
we'll get that sorted soon.
Yeah.
But the the one way this kind of overlapped is, Gabe, you dug up some stuff with Wear OS 4, and some golfing.
Don't know what
The
that
building just fell over.
Yeah, I don't know what's happening. It distracted me. Some golf stuff.
Yeah, so IO, I mean, there's a lot to dissect, and again, we won't get into that on the show. But IO, they put a blog post out that was like 100 things from Google IO. There was a lot, each of
Yeah.
the segments. So there was big announcements around Wear OS 4, which is coming later this year, and I did write up an article about that because one of my biggest pet peeves with Wear OS is going to change. You'll be able to switch watches without having
Having
to
to
factory
factory
reset.
reset.
And
You know,
set
I
it up
silly.
as new.
didn't know that was a thing until I switched
back.
to the Pixel 7
Yeah.
from my
Yeah.
Samsung.
You're
I was
like, why isn't
oh,
it just-
I have to wipe
Shouldn't
this
it be
thing?
tied to my account?
Yep.
You
so,
would think.
so that will change, and that's huge. But there were multiple Wear OS sessions, and one of them was all about Android health and Wear OS. And in the middle of that, it was just like a 15-second thing. They said that they have worked directly with Samsung to bring like golf stroke tracking. So so it will be, obviously this isn't going to be like, it's not going to track how far you hit the ball or anything, but it's going to be able to tell the difference on supported devices between a putt or a chip or a drive or a full swing, which that, to me, and what I put in the article is that should lead to app developers being able to use that data to extrapolate. I mean, if you got an app developer that was really wanted to do it, they could probably use accelerometers and things like that and give you some basic shot tracking data like distance and things. And even if it was a matter of you tap which club, if you've got an interface,
Hitting the driver, boom.
I'm hitting my 7-iron. All right,
So
it
what-
tracks the speed. Whatever.
I guess so the tracking they're talking about now, like what's the benefit to golf apps? Like what does that give them the ability to do?
Don't know. They didn't say.
Okay.
They literally said
Like
that
I get you
yeah.
can track my shots, but like
Yeah.
maybe for certain golf, I imagine like I use this one called the 19th hole.
Yeah.
It'd be really awesome if I don't like playing with my watch on. I just don't normally do it. But if you had the watch on, if when I hit my driver, it already understands I just took my stroke, so it goes ahead and counts that stroke.
Right, and
And
that
then I'll
is
have to
something.
count it up. That'd be a nice little.
That
touch.
is something that they mentioned, and I think that's where that stuff will come into play. If you have a GPS based golf app on your watch, it knows when you've moved on to the next hole, so it can take that data and automatically say, "Okay, you took 5 strokes on that hole."
Well, and that's exactly what one of the things it'll do. So Arcos, they make the little things you put at the end of your club.
Did TaylorMade buy them, or are they a TaylorMade project or
I
something?
think TaylorMade bought them or partners deeply.
I saw
with
an
them.
ad the other day that was like
A bunch of TaylorMade
I was
clubs. They can build their thing like down into the grip and the shaft of the club, so you don't.
cool.
It's not like a nub on the end anymore. It's built into the
in.
club. I think my brother's got some of those. The cool part with Arcos and anything, there are other trackers like it now. You hit your shot. It knows that you hit a shot. It can tell from the impact of the club and everything. You drive your cart up to the next shot. When you hit your next shot, it knows, okay, your first shot was here based on GPS. The next time I felt an impact was here.
GPS.
So now I know you hit your drive 260 yards. And so at the end of the round, you get all this data and you can see all these stats without having to have logged all of it.
Yeah.
So that's where it can utilize some of that data, and then part of Wear OS is new like grouped buttons and tiles and stuff like that. So they could integrate all of those things, and like your interface for whatever golf app you're using could have just bubbles for each of your clubs.
On
So
a tile.
that way you can keep track of which club you hit also, but it should be able to extrapolate distance and shot type and strokes just based off of those new features that Samsung and Google developed. So.
I've been trying to wear my watch hitting golf balls in here. Not my big watch.
I like the idea.
Pixel
I like
watch.
the idea, especially now I've got a nylon. The silicone every once in a while would hit, as you cross over this way, would hit like right in here in my wrist, and it would burn me up a little bit. Like I don't love that.
Who was it? I think it was Phil last year whenever he won. I don't remember. Maybe it was him. Somebody else wore a Rolex the entire round.
I can't. This one.
What a baller.
This one with a crown will dig into my hand, but my Bulaba, I wear it. I've gotten so used to wearing it. If I don't, I feel like
strange,
mentally I roll my wrist back.
Yeah.
And so part of the reason too is a little vanity. I just didn't want a big tan line on my wrist. Going out and playing.
I used to be a runner and have a tan line all summer wearing my running watch.
So I try to make sure to take my glove off a lot during the round. Cause I don't want that ghost white because I'm pretty white. So when I start getting tan, then I have a white hand. I look like I'm sick.
I want to say that 18 Birdies had a Wear OS app at one point, and then I don't think it's on there anymore.
Okay.
But my friend has a Garmin, like one of the really nice Garmin Phoenix or whatever.
Yeah.
And so he's got all the Garmin golf stuff built into his watch. They make specific golf watches.
Yeah.
But I'm just thinking of some of the features that he has, being able to have all of that on a Wear OS app.
Yeah. You have a good app. Like, and I guess Garmin wants to sell their own stuff. And I'm surprised that Garmin hasn't. Maybe they will now lean fully in and charge for it. Like, it doesn't have to be free.
Or partner with Samsung and do a golf edition, which I think
they do that.
Who Gabe? There was some Wear OS app that did that, or Wear OS maker that did that. There was some golf edition. It was like
there's a golf
tag or
edition of
something.
this.
Golf edition of that one.
Yeah,
as well.
but all it is it's a special band.
Right.
It's like it doesn't do anything extra. Yeah. They need the app stuff, and so opening this up to Wear OS, hopefully it might take 6 months before
some more tools.
But those are the type of features that like some of these places or some of these apps charge premiums. I'd pay for that. Like I'd pay the premium for that.
$20 or something.
Like some of the other stupid stuff they put on there for the premium. I'm like paying for that.
Yeah, like if I could really keep track of my round and be able to take my phone calls and everything, I would leave my phone in the car.
Or if nothing else, honestly, just leave it in the bag.
Yeah.
Like you can put it in your spot in the bag.
Just that way it's back there. It's away. Yeah.
But right now I've got a foam clamp that I've put on that I bought for like $20, and it's like super hardcore clamp.
Only fell off once.
Yeah,
that one time it fell off. It was a little scary.
Forgot to tighten it up. I took it down to take a phone call, and I shouldn't. I should have just left the thing on there.
Right.
Taking the phone call with it, but
didn't clamp her down.
And so I bought a special case for the Galaxy S23 Ultra, like one of the rugged cases, to put it just in case it falls again. But yeah, I mean, I kind of like having an interface up there, for, especially when you go to play a course that doesn't have GPS built into the card.
It's nice.
When it's in the card, I'm like, I don't really need this. I don't need my phone up here for this. But a lot of courses around us don't have that in the card.
Having
so
that larger
I
screen
could
to be able
clamp
to like,
that up
zoom
there.
up, see the hole and stuff.
Yeah, I'd rather do that than mess with my watch.
Right.
I just at the end of the day. But it's a nice addition, and it's a nice thought to think one day, if the interface is good enough, like I could put my phone away and just have my watch on, and
have
do
your
my
LTE,
stuff.
have everything.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Nice.
Text messages, phone calls if needed, and it'd be a cool thing.
So shameless plug. Go check out Proof Golf. Instagram is proof.golf. Everything else is just Proof Golf. The website is proof.golf.
Facebook.
Ooh, I need to get
Facebook.
I think
Slash
The Proof
I think
Golf.
I linked all the socials in the footer. I think. On
Okay,
the site.
nice.
Yes,
we'll link them down in the show notes.
But we're
for
just
this
getting
one as
started
well.
on the website too. So there's only a few
getting started on the
posts there.
website. Kind of same format as Chrome Unbox. We'll be posting articles, all sorts of different articles. We're kind of just going to throw things out for right now and see
with
what sticks.
a leaning towards simulator golf.
Yeah,
Is that
tech
kinda,
golf, tech side of golf.
Yeah, but also gameplay and all that stuff too. So.
And then YouTube and maybe a podcast and some newsletter stuff. So check it out. Stay tuned. More content coming there. Okay, folks, we appreciate you all tuning in and listening and watching. If you are watching over on YouTube, make sure to give us a thumbs up. Go down there and click subscribe and click the notification bell if you're a good person and want to help us out. All right, we'll catch you on the next one. See you.